What's up, guys? Welcome to this episode of the G Team podcast. The G Team is a group of young people dedicated to
providing people with the knowledge to make the most of their life,
sharing practical ways to maximize productivity,
and offering support to those who need it to create a more fulfilled life.
My name is Peter.
And I'm Olu.
And we're your hosts for this podcast.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy listening.
All right, today I'm back with G and Adnan. How are you guys doing today?
Not bad, thank you. Not bad.
Yeah. Doing all right, thanks.
Good. That's all right. It's been a while since we did this. Had a few technical issues trying to actually start the podcast and recordings and stuff. But we're here. And what you guys been up to? The summer has officially ended. How was it?
Sad. Yeah, it was very sad. It's all gone. I mean, I'm so glad that we actually had the chance to meet up, because if we didn't, I would have left the house about 4 times in the entirety of summer. And that's not how I planned on spending it.
Yeah. And when you're a working man, you don't get summer breaks.
Oh, boo-hoo for you.
I wish I could be back to uni. But no, I did get up to a little bit this summer, mainly just visiting where people were possible. Nothing spectacular.
It's all right. Yeah, we got to go out more, so that's all I'll take from that. We also went on an escape room for those who didn't know, as the G team. That's what G is touching on. That was what last week. Last week. Yeah, just pretty fun actually.
I think. Yeah.
It was the first time for me as well. You know, what was weird was the when things just didn't work, and it took us probably half an hour to do one thing, and I actually felt useless. And then it all came together. And that first thing I did, it was it was sick.
Yeah, I'm really interested. Was it one person that carried the team for you guys, or was it
No, I can't lie. It was a bit of everything. You know, we our tactic was we'd split into 2s or 1s and cover a corner of the room, and then we just start fumbling with cupboards, or I was in this corner with a chessboard, and then I had to move pieces around, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I kept on moving around, and then a cupboard just opened out of nowhere. Oh. And I was like, yes, I just did something. That's how we started.
So the chess pieces, and then, in a certain the chess pieces.
Yeah. So we had to. There was a riddle on it, but there was 4 sentences under the chessboard, and basically there was a capital letter referred to the row. So let's say the letter C was the biggest, so you have to put the rook on column C basically, and there were lines on the chessboard as well. I didn't know you will put them on there, but it wasn't working at first. So I started panicking, but then it did. So, but point is, we won in it. So
in the competition, was it?
Well, I don't think it was a competition. I don't know.
It was to me. It was.
You know what it is, right? Competition aside, I was really I was excited to do the escape room. As the founder of the G team, I wanted you guys to be put in that environment where you're forced to really have to think and work together.
Yes.
You know?
A good team building exercise for our first meet.
Yeah.
So that's saying nothing like challenging environments. But speaking of environments, that is the topic of today's podcast.
That was not pre-planned at all. Don't worry about it.
No, that transition was not pre-planned at all. But we had no other ideas on how to transition. But yeah, that's what we're talking about today is environments, and I guess how our environments have shaped us, if they've influenced us to major degrees, and how you can create your own environment. So yeah, question to you to both, I guess we'll start is, what are the major influences within your environment that you think influence you and determine who you are?
Go on, Adnan.
Should I go first? Yeah. So I would probably say key thing is role models, because I think everyone has a role model in life, whether it's a good one or a bad one. if you're around people, you've got a role model. So I guess from that age where you're like a toddler almost to when you leave home as an adult, you're in as a role model, whether you like it or not. And also your friends and the people around you as well. And yeah, they can be good or bad, but they do impact you a lot. And whether you like it or not, they will impact you a lot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I think that people obviously are definitely a huge impact when it comes to environment, but I think the way that you respond to different environments is also like really interesting in terms of purely just emotional. The way that you react to one thing is probably going to be different to most other people, and that's because of the experiences you've had in similar environments, if that makes sense. So I think that like the way that you react is something that I'm really trying to become more aware of. But yeah, I think that's like people and your past experiences and then your emotional reaction is like the main things that I think really influence your environment.
Yeah, because
I think so.
Sorry, go on, Peter.
I was gonna say like well, like you touching on, I guess our parents. I'd say that's a major factor, and it's not something that I realized when I was younger. And I guess just like you said, G, like we all react emotionally, and some people they do as much as possible to be like their parents, and then some people on the flip side they do as much as possible to be unlike them, right? And I guess for me, I used to be nah, I don't want to be like my parents. I don't know why. I guess it's just me being dumb and rebellious. But then now it's like, even if I try not to, I see the similarities between me and them, I think. But yeah, it's interesting. And then, yeah, like my friends as well, I think over the past probably two years or so, well, before the pandemic, I think I changed a lot regarding those people and then the lessons that I've learned from them. And then on the flip side as well, in a pandemic, the only environment you had was probably 4 walls. So that's a special environment where, you know, I had to learn about myself. And in a way, it was a lack of an environment that maybe damaged me, maybe gave me some new ways of thinking as well. Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to ask, why did you want to talk about environments in the first place? Like, why do you think it's an important thing to talk about?
See, I wanted to know, I guess, like whether you think you're confined to your environment. So for me, the major factors are so your family that you're born into, your what is it, socioeconomic status. So whether you're poor, you're middle class, rich, whatever, and your I guess the immediate opportunities that are available in that actual place. So whether you have access to quality education, clean water, quality food, certain networks to professional industries, this and that. Like, I think those are the major things that affect you right off the bat without you having to try. So I guess like that's what I wanted to ask is like, are you trapped in that environment from the get-go? Even if you try to escape, I guess you can escape physically, but mentally, are you still there? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I guess I see a lot of people they've grown up in, say, very harsh environments and whatnot, and no matter what it is they seem to do, they don't get out of that sort of environment, at least mentally, and they still have a mindset of, oh, you know, I gotta be careful around this, or XYZ isn't good because of this, even though there's, say, physical evidence to the contrary.
What you were saying about socioeconomic, I guess that's like, I guess your neighborhood might come under that as well. So you see like a lot of young people, they don't live in a great neighborhood or a great area or a great city, then that's going to affect you from young a lot. And I know it's kind of a cliche topic, but like, let's say people talk about gangs in London and stuff like that. That I think that kind of, if you're living in a neighborhood or an area where gang kind of activity happens a lot, you'll find that a lot of young people kind of find themselves in those gangs at a young age. And that will obviously greatly influence them, as you know, because gang related kind of injuries and all that kind of stuff, crime is so like apparent. Not just in London, it can be anywhere, but obviously we hear about it a lot in London. I mean, you're from London.
Close to London. I have to be careful about saying if I'm from London these days. People call me out. But
you're gonna start gang wars, man.
Yeah. So yeah, but as no, exactly. That I guess that's why I wanted to know, because I would imagine so an environment like that is pretty tough. It's already hard to break out of your own, I guess, hardly drilled habits. But what would you do if you were in that environment? Like, how can you even change that? I guess the stuff about gangs is a bit extreme. But
yeah,
let's say if you're in an environment where everyone around you, your family, your friends are not money conscious, and then you end up trying to be a person who is very financially literate. Like, how would you go about doing that? What's the journey? What's the path? So that could be,
So sorry.
Go on, G. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say. So like, the reason, like, kind of we're talking about environments, and at least one of the reasons is that you want to learn more about how you can get out of a bad environment as one point. I mean, I think that's the thing, like you mentioned, a lot of people do just feel trapped by the environment. And some people might be like, we can talk about, okay, firstly, yeah, you can get out of your environment by doing X, Y, and Z. But like, if you look at, let's say, I don't know, someone in China who's working in a factory making like £2 a day, that's their environment and that's where they live. And we can say, oh yeah, use this like motivational tool, or you surround yourself with these people. But if they can't change their environment, they just can't change their environment. And I think it's like important that sometimes you understand like where you sit within your environment, whether or not you're someone who can actually change that. Because sometimes people think, oh yeah, I can change this, I can change that. And even that hope of, oh, this is something that's within my control, can then lead them to being even more uncomfortable in their environment, if that makes sense. But I mean, beyond that, I think there's two ways to look at it. You can either have your external change the internal, or the internal change the external. So like, when you see a role model or someone like that, you might be like, oh, I want to be like that person. That's the external influence you. But you might see other things and then you think to yourself, oh, I think I should be like this. I think I deserve better. And then that's the other way that I think people initiate that conversation about actually starting to change the environment. And obviously it's very dependent on what you're talking about. But I think that's where the root of it comes from.
First step is almost like being aware of your environment. If you're unaware, you can't really do anything because you don't even realize what kind of environment you're on. So in the sense of being in a bad environment, you kind of have to build awareness, understand, like we said earlier, the factors that are actually influencing you, because you can't really address it unless you can define it, can you?
Yeah. I mean, what about you guys? Like, have you found yourself not necessarily in a bad environment, but in an environment that you didn't think suited you? And if so, how did you go about creating a new one to yourself that you knew would nurture your goals?
I mean, moving out to uni was a big one for me. I don't know if I'm clear now. Can you guys hear me?
You're back.
Yeah,
You're back.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just saying, moving out for university was a big thing for me in terms of actually just surrounding myself with other people whose like primary goal, well, most people's primary goal was to actually study, and like they would design their lives around that. For me, being around those people was great. And then on top of that, I had another goal, which was to learn more about business, learn more about entrepreneurship, and then speaking to people like Peter, he just one person in my network managed to get me around so many different people, and that cultivated a really good experience for me to learn with him. So like, yeah, those are probably like the biggest examples I have within my life.
I think you're right. Uni is almost like a chance to redefine yourself, isn't it? Because once you go to uni, you can literally like decide, like, I'm no longer going to be hanging around with these type of people, because at school you do have social pressures, you do have convenient friendships and convenient friend circles kind of thing. But you're right, yeah. And it's like, if you want to focus on specific something, whether it's like, it can be anything, it can be a certain hobby of yours or something that's close to you, like your religion or something like that, you can do that at uni, because there's always a society, there's always a group of people who share the same kind of love or closeness to that certain topic, and then you can kind of immerse yourself in that environment very, very easily.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think it's good to definitely environments like uni. It helps you become, at least for me, it made me a much more diverse person in terms of just having more general knowledge to loads of different types of people. I remember coming to uni for the first time. It was so weird just to see so many different people together in one. Even it was, well, a bit off topic, but just seeing white people also hanging around with other people who aren't white, or Asian people hanging around with other people who aren't Asian. It's weird because,
yeah,
I guess for me, I grew up in literally an all-white environment, right, where and there was also a token black guy, right? That was pretty much like 10 years of my life. 10 years of education was for me was like that. And you can imagine that the perspectives were quite narrow. My perspectives were quite narrow in terms of not only what I thought about other people, but what I also thought about myself and what could be achieved based off of, I guess, what my circle was doing at the time. But yeah, like going to uni. If you're not going to uni, I found working different jobs as well. Like part-time jobs is something that really helped me, because I worked. I remember working in Tesco. It was one where there were loads of students as well, and I was about 17 at the time. And those students obviously, again, come from a diverse environment. You're not doing the hardest work, but you still have discussions that help you learn, and from managers as well. Like, you realize the way that they live and the way that they act, talk, it comes from their environment. And yeah, if you don't put yourself in those environments, then you don't even know what you're capable of. Yeah.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like building off what you were just saying, that's kind of almost like a encouragement to people to try new things, get yourself out there, put yourself in new environments, because you never know who you're going to meet, and what you can learn from them, and all that kind of stuff. So like you said, like you learn, you might not think, oh, I'm going to work at Tesco because I want to learn from people there or my colleagues there about I don't know, life or whatever, but it ends up happening either way, no matter what kind of circle you find yourself in.
Yeah, it's true. I ended up hanging around with people that I thought I would never ever hang out with. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. It just shows like how, I guess, shallow we might be, or maybe not we, maybe it's just me. How easy it is to judge people based off of appearance on one or two things, but
That's
make
not
you
just
spend
you,
more
bro.
time. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm happy about that. Yeah, but I guess I've learned so much from people that I would have never envisioned myself hanging around with. And that is something that I think I missed during the pandemic as well. I was thinking the only influence I have is myself, and that's a good and a bad thing, because I guess you can control in a way what comes in, but only to your own imagination and not to the perspectives of other people, which you will never know unless you're actively around these people.
Yeah, and some people, I was just gonna say, some people, like when they're by themselves, they like, you realize how not uncomfortable, but how not used to being in your own company for that long is. Like, we almost need people around us to feel kind of comfortable and safe, I guess.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say as well, actually, like, I don't know, for me, like, I'm quite purpose driven. But like I think everyone wants to be almost the best version of themselves. Like there's that desire within almost everyone. You want to improve, you want to grow with time. And like having different environments is obviously a great way to do that because it exposes the faults that you might have. Am I in there?
Sorry, G, you just cut out a little bit, but I think we got that. Just repeat what you said. Sorry.
So you know what it is, like in the edit, we'll just cut this out if you want to put a timestamp or something.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll find it.
But I was just saying, so like our environments can often expose us because it shows us where our weaknesses lie. So, like you're saying, if you're by yourself and you feel uncomfortable, you should understand that this is a position where you don't feel like, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm in control. And you don't need to be in control of everything. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But it does show you that this is a situation in which there can be a lot of growth. And I think that's why having different environments is important, because if you stay in the same environment all the time, then you're massively limiting your growth.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've seen that. For people around me, I guess there's a lot of people I think now that I haven't seen for a while, but I guess they've been doing the same thing, been stuck in the same environment for a while. But the thing is, like, I guess it's down to preference. They seem to enjoy, I guess, being around the same people all the time, not trying new things. And then, like, that's for them. I think if they're happy, that's fine. It's just not for me. But I think, I guess in terms of my personality and how I think it's changed over the past 2-3 years or so, I think it's been positive for me. And that's only been because of the environment. So I guess, that's the question I wanted to ask as well is your personality genetic and defined at birth, or is it nurtured through your environment, or perhaps is it a mix of both? And if it is a mix of both, how much of that mix is one or the other? Because for me, it's I would say I thought it was mostly environment based off of what I do now, but then I think perhaps that's almost what I've always thought. That's what I've always thought, and that's always what I've wanted to do. But it's just the fact that I have the confidence, perhaps more confidence, to do what I actually want to do now. In which case, my environment is only like a small part of it, and it only helped me to facilitate what I already had in mind. That makes sense.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you define your personality. I know it sounds like a dumb question.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
But okay, then Adnan, how would you define personality?
A collection of learned behaviors, or is it something deeper, like consciousness based? It's kind of hard to put a.
Well, the Google definition of personality is defined as the characteristic sets of behaviors, cognitions, and emotional patterns that evolve from biological and environmental factors. And there is also no generally agreed upon definition of personality, although most theories focus on motivation and psychological interactions with one's environment. So yeah, they say both too, but I guess
What was the 3 things? What
behaviors, cognitions, and emotional patterns. I don't know what cognitions is.
I don't know, maybe cognition's based with thought processes.
Yeah.
How you think about things, behaviors, how you do things, or how you react to things. And what was the third thing? Emotional.
The third thing was emotional patterns.
Patterns. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's actually interesting because I was reading this book called What Darwin Got Wrong. And it's basically just a different take on theory of evolution and, well, Darwin's theory of evolution. And it talks about learned behaviors and stuff like that, and how animals learn certain things from their environment, just like they evolve based on their environment. That's the theory anyways. Yeah. I'm sure you guys have heard of operant conditioning, right? It's like to do with how you can condition someone to have a certain response based on a stimulus. And it creates behavior patterns, which obviously is linked to personality. So that is kind of also linked to how nurture affects one's personality. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting because it'd be quite hard to define whether you're genetically predisposed to a certain personality, but definitely something that requires more thought.
Yeah. To see, I guess people always say that some people are more suited to certain roles than others. Let's say a typical leader, people always think they have to be extroverted, but I guess if your personality is out of an introvert, how comes you have I guess all these famous leaders that are pretty introverted, or at least they seem like that, and has their personality changed to meet that role, or is it something that they just naturally have within them?
Yeah, I'd probably say someone like, I don't know, Vladimir Putin or something.
Putin.
He seems pretty introverted.
Yeah, well, violent silent. I don't know if I think it's loads of introverted leaders.
Elon Musk is
which obviously Elon Musk, all of them billionaires. Elon Musk.
Okay, I see what you mean. Different.
Mark Zuckerberg. Like, they don't seem like the most extroverted people, but like whether that's their personality from the get go or whether it's something that they've nurtured over time. That's the question that I'd like to know.
I don't know. You think Elon Musk's introverted?
He seems.
Have you watched his podcast with Joe Rogan?
He seems like one of those robots.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he communicates well with people. Like,
I mean, it might have like a social kind of. I don't know. You know how a lot of. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but like a lot of geniuses have like social ineptitude almost. In a way, like that, it's kind of makes them a genius.
Yeah, the thing with Elon Musk as well is like I don't see him as like so much. Maybe this is just like what I've heard about him in like business and stuff like that. But I don't see him as a businessman per se.
It's like a figurehead. He's like the face of some of like a idea almost.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, I wouldn't say Mark Zuckerberg seems like a kind of person that people look up to as a leader. Maybe not socially, anyways, but maybe billionaires look up to him, or people who want to be billionaires or something.
It's ironic, obviously, because he made Facebook, which connected so many people socially anyway. I don't know. I just think those guys are so intelligent that they're uncomfortable around people less intelligent with them. That's why they seem weird. That's my theory. I don't know if it's true, but
they just
I mean, to be honest, like,
sorry, go
that
on.
means that even they've got their environment as well, that they like, oh yeah, because people are environments in a way. Wouldn't you agree that like even a conversation with someone, you've created an environment, the tone, the way that you talk about stuff, the context of which you talk about stuff, you create environments all the time, and those environments can obviously have a big impact on how you feel. You know, like let's say like there's a child whose parents are always arguing. That is an environment. Like I think, yeah, like Adnan said at the start, but I think people do have the biggest impact when it comes to environment.
Yeah, that you say that actually, because I would choose not to be influenced by certain environments by not even engaging in them. Say like they don't want to speak to someone, so they're awkward around them and all that kind of stuff. They don't seem very charismatic, maybe because they just don't want to engage in that environment. Like they don't see the point in it. That's why they're a genius. I don't know.
Could be. No, it does seem like that.
Yeah, it could be from experience of, oh yeah, that's actually a good thing to get onto as well, because I mentioned it, like one of the main things that makes up an environment is like past experiences, but maybe the geniuses have had negative past experiences with the average person. That's why they just don't bother then, and it's like, okay, well, that's it. But yeah, I mean, every environment in my mind is pretty different. Like just because you've had some negative experiences in certain environments doesn't mean that you should write off all experiences in the environment as negative as well. And I feel like a lot of people think that the environment that they're in is terrible and bad, and it's the worst thing. But I don't always think that's the case. I think if you can see the positives from it as well, then I don't know, it shifts the way that you see the environment, you know?
Perspective, yeah. Yeah. I mean, so how do you create your environment then? Like, you obviously talk about perspective and trying to draw the positives out of your immediate environment, but I'm guessing you actively do things to also put yourself into the position of different people or different situations to basically cultivate a newer environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is exactly what you did. You created your own environment.
Yeah, because like I mean, it was an access to start off with, and that's why I was like, oh my god, business people who are ambitious, people who want to do more with their life, and I was like, this is great. Then I realized it's only going to last a year, and then you've got to find these people for yourself. So I was like, well, I've got a network at the moment. I know what these people are like. Sure, like if they seem interested in what I'm doing, they must have similar qualities and similar ambitions as well. So why not get them together? And people want to be a part of an environment that they feel comfortable in, and whether even growth. Like imagine if you weren't around people who were helping you to grow, that would make you uncomfortable. I know that sounds backwards, but we all have environments that we strive to be in. So it's quite easy to find these people.
Yeah. Well, it depends on people, I guess for us three, we find it quite easy to talk to new people, I guess, because we had a lot of practice doing it. But for others who aren't so used to doing that, I'd say I guess I start off small. And then you can, especially if you're already a student, or if you're still a student, then you can literally just sit somewhere else in a class. That's what I used to do. Some people think it's weird. I don't think it's weird. I would sit next to a stranger every single
It's a
time.
free
Nah, that's
country.
weird, bro. That's weird. That's
Hey,
just weird.
I don't
country,
care if
do
you
what
think you think it's weird, then I'm weird. But that's one of the first things that I did. I don't know if I did it consciously or I was just like, I do not. There's nowhere else to sit, but I would just end up sitting
Sounds
next to
kinda sad.
random people. And it's, you know what? Yeah, cultivating environments. It also comes from loneliness. You know,
Does
if
actually,
one
'cause, like,
person don't like you move on to the next one. You know, and that's it's an undefeatable strategy. But yeah,
You
but
can't not make friends if you do that. Someone's
exactly.
gonna-
It's all,
I mean, you could
it's
be
all a
that
numbers
dislikable.
game. It could be. It could be.
Nah,
Who knows? Who knows?
nah.
But these people still stick around. But yeah, that's one of the first things I did, right? And to this day, a lot of people or a lot of my friends will tell you like, oh, the first time they met me, it was literally when I guess approached them or sat next to them. It was like, oh, hi, my name's this, and that. And I think it's normal. Obviously, some people might think that's weird and a bit extreme. So I say if you can't do that, then if you just, let's say, coincidentally end up in the same group or something, then obviously make an effort to
yeah.
get to know those different people if you're not brave enough to just directly approach them. Because yeah, you never know. And then once you do get more comfortable, then you can actively put yourselves in these different places. And let's say, well, when you're at uni, it's pretty easy, to be fair. You got societies, yeah, you got your halls, you got sports issue, everything. And then now that I guess once I've been outside of uni, I've been going to interviewing people, going out doing street interviews and had a lot of engaging conversations, and people often are really interested in helping you if they see that you've got a lot to offer or a lot to talk about. And yeah, I've ended up interacting with a lot of these people that I've interviewed afterwards, and it's led to some pretty productive conversations and upcoming plans. So you usually never know, especially ever since the pandemics. Like you should really make the most of the environments that you're in, and if they're not a positive one, then go online. Well, it's easier said than done, but move. Yeah, I think I really think it's easy, but it's down to what you want to become, and then you work backwards from the identity on how to get there.
I was gonna say you definitely reach an age where you reach a level of maturity where you actually start to recognize, like, I can actually go out and do things. Like I can go out and meet people. I can put myself out there. It can be online as well. It doesn't have to be in person. Where you're able to ensure your own safety. You know how people say like be safe when you go meet new people or online, all that kind of stuff. You're mature enough to ensure your own safety, so you can just go out, and make friends with people. Do forums. I don't know, like Reddit. Reddit is probably one of the places where you can find something. Yeah, you can find any group of people who share the exact same hobbies as you, or a hobby as you. Like it's literally so easy.
Yeah.
I was going to say as well, Peter, in terms of like your environment growing up, obviously you're an only child, and maybe not having the amount of connections that you wanted to when you were a little bit younger, or maybe witnessing your parents going out and meeting a lot of people, or even just like watching someone else doing sixth form or something like that. Was there like a root of what you think has led you to do this stuff? Because obviously, I think that's an environmental thing that you've learned from and then obviously applied in your life. But I don't know, it could be a genetic thing where it's like you feel the need to go out and speak to as many people as possible because it's like that whole serotonin boost,
Yeah, I think ever since I was young, I always felt like I had something was missing in terms of I wish there was people that I could talk to about. Well, at that time it was from like cartoons and anime and Pokemon, but there was always, there was always, and people around me just they weren't about that. And I thought, damn, this sucks, right? So yeah, I always felt like there was something missing. So I guess when I moved to a different school, I made the most to start new and approach loads of different people so that I can meet people with these same interests, but also interests that I'm yet to discover. And then again coming to uni and if I were to count the positive and the versus the negative interactions, the positive interactions from strangers outweighs the negative ones exponentially. Like I don't even remember the negative ones. I do, but it's not like it is very impactful at all. Because most of the time it's just, oh, people don't want to talk to you. That's fine. Like, you know, they got stuff to do. Or if you know, compared to would I trade that off for strangers that I made the effort to meet, then you know I say of course not. Like these people that I met is so much more. Those handful of negative experiences, and I hope I can have more of those, and that's what I'm trying to do now. Is like create an environment where I can do that confidently without relying on a really like a uni campus, pretty much. I think it does get harder, but that's why you have to try harder. Yeah, to meet new people and create a new environment.
I was gonna say as well, like one thing that I think, I don't know if Adnan you'd agree with, but like the thought of just approaching random people on the street maybe might be a little bit intimidating. I don't know.
Yeah,
I also. It's not like,
I'm not that guy either, and the reason why I'm not that guy is probably like it's based off like insecurities, I would say, and like internal problems. Because like you hear Peter say, I've made so many friends and so many good things have happened, and barely any negative things happen. You're like, well, why doesn't everyone do this? And it's the internal that makes you feel like, oh, I shouldn't do this because what if they don't like me? What if I'm awkward? What if there's no conversation? So the environment is there for us to do good things sometimes, but I think if we're not confident within ourselves, then that messes you up more than the environment most of the time. Does that make sense?
Like, because if you're sorry, go on, G.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, when you're not confident and you try to do something out of your comfort zone and it messes up, that lack of confidence or self-esteem, like it hits you harder because you messed up. Vicious cycle.
Yeah. I think you get out of that as well. It's literally by putting yourself in different environments all the time. So it's like they kind of go hand in hand. You want to build up the internal and the external at the same time. And like sometimes there's no other way to do it other than just face it head on. Like that's what I had to do with Peter. Like when there's been like stuff with an actor, so like trying to talk to new people or whatever, it's just go and do it. Just go and do it. Like sometimes there's not like I don't know how to explain it, but your comfort zone, then your growth zone. Sometimes there isn't a space in between that we want for our environment. Like it would be nice to go to that place and then push ourselves. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the rewards that we want, we're gonna have to change our environment maybe more than what we're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's because for me, I always think about it like very logically in terms of risk and reward. Is most of the time, if you think the reward will outweigh the risk, then it's worth taking. And it's also a mindset that you're just gonna have to accept that if you want to progress anywhere, you're gonna have to take a few L's. So we're talking about environments, I guess. Yeah, exactly. It's just you just gotta accept it. I guess environments. There's been loads of conversations where it's been so dry or it's been so awkward, and I do think, man, why did I even start this? And then there's been presentations where I've completely just bombed and done awful, but it's only through those experiences that help me to be better on the next one, you know. And if you don't, then you're not gonna get anywhere. And that fear, it's like it never really goes away. Like I still have it. Like, occasionally still be there, but the more you do it, the more you realize like it's really not as bad as you probably envision it to be.
It's not that deep.
Like, whatever that is. no, it's not that deep.
And I was gonna say you have to realize that most people are only thinking about themselves. Like,
literally,
when you think like, oh, what's this person gonna think of me? Like, I just think like you got to be able to visualize that this person doesn't actually care about you. This stranger is not going to think about you again after tomorrow. Like,
exactly. Like,
unless you really said something that impacted them or harmed them or something. But usually,
exactly.
The conversation is just not going to be. They're not going to remember it the next day.
Exactly. Yeah. Unless you say something really wild, then if it helps with nerves or whatnot, exactly. Just like what you were saying, people don't care about you. That's just the truth. If they don't know you, they don't care about you. The same way that you don't care about someone that you don't know, right?
Exactly.
And take that as a pro, because you can be yourself, you know, and you can say what it is that you want to say, as long as you don't insult them. And in most cases, or at least for me, it's led to much more than just a simple conversation. You know, you've been able to start projects, make videos, just have business links. I saw one of my friends when we were out, I think a few weeks ago. He literally secured an internship offer just because he had the same name as this random guy.
Oh,
yeah.
That's harder for people with unusual names, though.
I'm screwed. There's no.
And I said, "Oh, do you have LinkedIn to help him?" And they added each other on LinkedIn, and they got an internship offer anyway. So that's like one of the best case scenarios. And I think if you never talk to that person, you wouldn't have a job. You know, like, so
it wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
So you never know. You literally never know. So ultimately, try as hard as possible to meet people or be in the environments and the groups that you want to be in, that will definitely nurture your goals. Expect that setbacks will happen. Expect that you might be embarrassed a few times, but ultimately that builds towards your character.
It's all character building at the end of the day.
That's it. Yeah. We should have a whole episode where I just talk about the different hours that I've taken. I think it'd be funny.
Actually, I read
series.
That episode. That is a series. Actually, that is a series.
G Team L's.
Bro, I'm done.
Yeah, but unless you guys have anything else to say, we're gonna wrap it up there. That was a brief conversation about environments. Hope you guys We're entertained with you guys. Took a few important things away from this, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the G Team podcast. You can catch more episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more, where we try to build our lives one step at a time.